So GMC sent me their brand new 2025 Hummer EV3X, and this joint is top tier in so many ways. But even with the most legendary SUVs, there's pros and there's cons, all of which I'm gonna go over with y'all today and what it's like living with it for the last week that I've had it. If you wanna watch a video where I just talk about all the features of this car and everything that it has to offer in a comprehensive, short 5-minute review way, click that link below in the description and get to it and watch it right now. But without further ado, let's start this one right now. Now there's many obvious things that stand out in this SUV, from how it looks on the outside to how it looks on the inside. And one of the things that is kind of in the middle of both are these roofs. Hatchets, cubicles, cubes, not a panoramic roof, but 4 kind of individual panoramic roofs that come off. All you gotta do is just pop 1 and 2 per cube, open the door, pop it off. They make it dumb easy for you. That's definitely an upside light for me. So y'all drop a comment below. Are y'all impressed by that or no? GMC even gives you leather cases to store each individual cubes. I don't know what's wrong with me right now. And you store them in the front in your leather pouch. I think that's pretty legendary, and they give you somewhere to store it. The next is gonna have to be the eyeballs that this joint gets. You got them wide hips on the back. Come on, man, who don't want that extra, cheek meat on the side? Y'all know what I'm talking about, fellas. And in the front too, who don't want the top and bottom? You wanna have the big bottom and the little top and the little, come on, and vice versa. You wanna have it all evenly proportioned. And this joint is evenly proportioned preposterously, because this joint is so legendary and aggressive. It has such a crazy stance and presence. This is like the car when you park in the parking lot, and then every car person knows this, because I do it all the time, where you look back at your car, pause, and then you like, that's mine, that's my shit, it's legendary, you know what I mean? This car has such a crazy presence. When you're on the road, everybody is nonstop looking at that joint, taking pictures, video. Some people, they do a little side eye because they don't want to give you the full glory with the turn to the neck, so they give you the little, you catch them all the time too. And there's so many camera angles on this joint. People couldn't hide from their looks from you if they want to. And you can check them out while you're driving or sitting still. You got like 20 different camera angles to choose from. It's actually absurd. Like, you even have cameras under this SUV that point both forward and see your front tires, and one that showed the back undercarriage of your car going backwards. This is one thing I gotta talk about, because I get so excited talking about it, I get my words all chopped up, so work with me here. When the top is off, there's so much wind that comes in. And there's a button where you can literally press a button and roll down all 4 windows. And that's gonna be a thing that I like, but also a thing I dislike, because that same button doesn't roll all 4 windows back up. This rear window right here, the rear windshield, that rolls up and down like how it does on the Tundra, which I've always loved. I don't know why every pickup truck don't have one big window that rolls down the back. I mean, the little bitty window is cool, but come on, man, we need that big mook that can roll all the way up and down. But the thing is, when that top is off, there's so much wind that comes in. But if you have the windows down with the tops off, man, let me tell you something, this joint could turn to an ice box real fast. There's so much air that comes in. It's a big legendary SUV. If it's not a really hot day, it gets really cold. And then if it is a really hot day, I can see you turn into rotisserie chicken for real. Like, not the kind that you pick right, you like, oh no, that one kind of burnt. Yeah, it's just magnifying glass. It'll be bad, like a little ant with a magnifying glass, little kid movies and stuff. Now let's talk about the windows, because that sun visor, when you extend it down, like just flip that joint down, it fits the windshield perfectly. But when you flip it to the right or left of the window, it doesn't cover the whole window because it's not long enough. So that was just like a little bit of a design flaw, but it does enough, but it just isn't proportion to the side window. It's only proportion to the front windshield. So that was just something I noticed immediately. Another thing that I have to add is the fact that you have so much practicality in that front trunk. Front trunk has more than enough space to store all your groceries and needs. At least for me and my wife, it does anyway. So my wife and I, we went and got groceries in this joint. Love and Slim, go subscribe. We do a lot of stuff over there, so make sure y'all want to tap in with our adventures. But I gotta just throw that in there. But you have more than enough space in there to get down with the get down whenever you want to get down with it. Now let's talk about the 0 to 60, because that's definitely something I'm rocking with. For this car to be as heavy as it is, it's absurd. 3.4 0 to 60. Let's just have a moment of silence for that. Wow. And it feels every bit of it. You even get some wheel spin, little wheel screeching on that concrete too. Don't think you won't on that pavement. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be marks all up and down that thing wherever you try to do your 0 to 60. All you have to do is press the traction control button once, hold it for the second time, and you'll get graphics that pop up on the infotainment screen. And the only time your digital gauge cluster, which we're going to talk about in a second too, that's the only time it reconfigures to give you a whole totally different graphic. And that's when you're going into the launch control understanding. You can only do that sitting still. It actually, I'm gonna be honest, it sucks. Sometimes, let's say for like a car person, right? All the car people out there, y'all gonna understand this. For regular, everyday people who's not really into that, but like just like the Hummer EV, this might not resonate with you as much. But for a real car person like that loves cars and all trucks and SUVs and all that stuff, and then you have other people that are like that, and you see them on the road, and they know about the 0 to 60 and the performance that this can do. You can be like, man, let me see a launch. Let's say you want to do that, or let's say you want to just do a takeoff, but you're already at a rolling 25. Like, this is some real car stuff. If you hit that traction control button twice, it literally does nothing. You have to be at a complete stop. It's like the Bluetooth thing. You know how annoying that is when you get into a car? Like, I know we should all be practicing safety and all that good stuff. Trying to hook up your phone to Bluetooth through the infotainment screen can be distracting. It can distract drivers. You can get accidents, all sorts of stuff. So I get it. I understand. But all I'm saying is that do be annoying. I'm not gonna lie to you. And this is annoying because if every time I gotta do that, I gotta stop to like add that track mode, sport mode would normally be in any other car SUV, and I gotta be at a complete stop. That's kind of like the Bluetooth stuff, but for driving modes, and I just don't like that. Now, you do have a My mode where you turn the circular knob and you can activate your My mode. They got some really cool graphics on them drive modes too. See, I gotta watch my 5-minute review because that's where I talk about all that stuff in detail, every little thing, and I try not to miss nothing. But in this one, I'm just gonna tell you they got some really dope graphics, and I like them a lot. But none of those, even My mode, gives you anywhere the amount of full velocity like how that it does when you're in the launch mode. So if you're already in the middle of driving, it just sucks to have to stop, pull over, 1, 2, hold, and then next thing you know, oh, now I can go fast. Hey, where that person that just asked me to do the launch or asked me to do a takeoff from a rolling 25? It's just, you know, you want to bring joy to people's life, like how this brings joy to you when driving it, like it brings joy to me driving it as well. And that I just found to be really annoying, if that makes sense. Now let's talk about that digital gauge cluster. That is a very nice digital gauge cluster along with the infotainment screen. But the only quorum I got with both is the infotainment screen. It just looks too black and white. Plain Jane. I like a little seasoning in my food. Add a little paprika, little Cajun seasoning, little cayenne pepper. You know what I mean? Put some sodium in my meal. You know what I mean? I like to have some flavor in that thing. You know what I mean? It looks good. It's like a plate of food that looks really good, but when you taste it, it just don't taste that good. Now, the thing is they have a lot of different things that this infotainment screen offers, specifically to off-roading and camera angles and different stuff like that. But the camera angles are nice and abundant, but they're not the best quality. They're a little pixelated. And one of the things I got to talk about with that real quick too is the fact that when you're driving, I'm a good driver. At least I would like to believe I am in everyday life, you know, not no race car, NASCAR driver, nothing like that. But I think on everyday, I'm definitely above average. And that's what all the fellas say, right? I'm acting too dumb today. Even with me being a good driver, that backup camera doesn't make it easier for you, if that makes sense. This SUV is so massive. If you're trying to park in a regular mall parking lot or anywhere with just regular parking lines, I could see a regular average, your everyday person having a real struggle parking this joint, because when you're in backup mode and that backup camera flip on, there's nothing that kind of guides you. There's no lines, there's no nothing. And I used to always think whenever I reviewed other cars and SUVs, why do they got them lines? It don't even, like, if you know how to whip that thing, you just know how to whip it. But in this particular SUV, you got to have them. Them lines is mandatory. Back to the infotainment screen. Oh, my bad. I went on a little side note rant. But the thing is other than that though, it's a pretty solid screen. It just doesn't look aesthetically the best to me. There is some detail in it. There's some graphics that pop up when you first start the car. I really like those. But then after that, it just loses all color and it's just a little bit bland. But it's kind of like representing being on the moon, because you got the moon craters on that thing and all that. And that's also like transitions to the digital gauge cluster. Now, the digital gauge cluster is also the same problem I have with the infotainment screen is the same problem I have with the digital gauge cluster. It looks really good. It just lacks a little seasoning. I should be able to reconfigure it other than every time I just want to go into a launch control mode. That's the only time it does it. But even when it goes into launch control mode, it has the live RPM band, and you know, it's telling you your miles per hour and all that good stuff, and G forces. That's dope. But I just wish every time I changed one of my drive modes that the digital gauge cluster changed up with it. That's what people look forward to the most when they get an electric car, is the tech. And this has the tech and it looks good, but it could be better is all I'm saying. And I think to fit this historical top level legendary SUV, I just feel like, for me personally, that's what I would like. Maybe GMC studied their consumers, and maybe most people that buy these like their food with no seasoning. When it comes to badging in all cars and SUVs, I think it's very important, right? When you spend a lot of money, to have it kind of plastered everywhere. And GMC plastered Hummer EV, or just the H with the EV, literally, or with the actual Hummer everywhere inside of this cabin. When you're spending this kind of money at $109,000, or it starts at $99,000 too, so whatever one you got, either way is expensive, right? It's definitely above average in expenses and overhead every single month as a car note. You know, I would know. When you're spending that kind of money, you want to be reminded why you're spending that kind of money, what you drove. If it's your dream car, you want to see that name everywhere, even though you're in it. It's a little bit different once you buy your dream car and you're in it every single day. You want the outside perspective of when you didn't or couldn't afford that dream car, and you looked at it and you seen everybody driving, like, damn, that's legendary. Ooh, that's the Hummer EV. Look at that joint. That's my dream truck. You know, you want that. You don't want to get into Hummer EV and then just see no badges and all I got is an H on the steering wheel. And you're just like, it's nice. It's my dream truck. But you want to see what you're paying for. You want to see that name. You want people, when they get in this joint, to be like, ooh, Hummer, Hummer, Hummer. Even though they know they seen it when they was walking in and getting into the car, they still want to just see it everywhere. All those little extras matter big time. And they have it on the steering wheel, on the bottom of the steering wheel, on the infotainment screen on the bottom right corner. They got it on the dash. They got it on the doors. They got it on the seats. They got it on the windshield. I mean, they literally have it everywhere. I mean, you got it on the mats on the bottom, front and back seat too. And that don't even include all the ones on the outside. I like that a lot. I don't know if that's just a personal thing with me, but I like it and I hope y'all do too. The sound system. The sound system in this joint goes stupendous. Top tier rock and roll, R&B, hip hop, country. I don't care who you're listening to. This joint sounds really, really good. Outside the car, this is a whole nother thing. This is past the like, this is what I love. In the tailgate, you can drop that joint down, have 4 cup holders, sit back there, have a whole tailgate vibe, and you got a kicker sound system in that joint that you can Bluetooth your phone with. And when I tell you that joint bump, that joint got more bass than the speakers inside here with the Bose sound system. Now, I don't know why Hummer got Bose on the inside the car, but kicker on the outside the car. I don't know. But I believe that the Bose sound system has a better quality, but the kicker has a better bass quality. I will say I love that about that tailgate, because that joint's hard. That's legendary. I'll give that one legendary status for sure, for sure. But inside the car, it don't have enough bass, even though under this seat in the back, there is a Bose subwoofer that's encased in like a lockbox. I would want more bass. And that wouldn't even be that bad if they let you adjust and tune your audio exactly how you wanted it to through the infotainment screen, but they don't. They literally don't. There's no equalizer, there's no add bass, there's no studio sound, there's literally nothing you can do as far as audio, as far as increasing bass, decreasing bass, treble, mids, equalizer, none of that. At least, like I said, I couldn't find it. And that's the first thing I do whenever I get in any car SUV that any of these manufacturers give me, because I want to test out the audio right away. But it's hard to give y'all a real audio test in a car review, because demonetization, obviously. And even if you didn't get demonetized, you wouldn't really be able to hear the quality or the bass like how you can in person. It's like trying to capture stars from your iPhone. It's just not gonna work. You just got to be present and in the moment, and then kind of try to broadcast it to people as best as you can. So that's ultimately what I'm trying to do. When it comes to the interior cabin space, right? I've seen a lot of people that do reviews. They'll say it feels cheap, not as premium as they think it should be. But me personally, I don't believe that. When I first got in here, I was like, this joint feel like money and it looks like money. But get it, I also hear what they're saying as far as the plastic everywhere. I mean, it's hard plastic, like all around. So of course I know there's hard plastic. Would you prefer it more if it was leather? Of course. It's very rare that you get a luxurious premium car without being in multiple hundreds of thousands dollar price tag that just don't got no hard plastic nowhere. You know what I mean? Like you catch hard plastic in McLarens and some Lamborghinis, and you know, you got to really go in the upper echelons to not get no hard plastics, you know, or the real hand-built, handcrafted cars. I mean, it's just kind of normalized, I guess, but it still feels premium and luxurious and comfortable in here, in my opinion. If you want to replace all the hard plastic with leather and Alcantara and suede and all the other stuff that's useless, really, like majority of the time, other than, you know, trying to flex or going to a car show or something like that, and you're really trying to step on somebody, this feels luxurious and premium. Of course it could be better material, but I like the price tag in which this SUV sits. That's what one of the things that make this Hummer EV so special is I know $100,000 is a lot of money, $99,000 starting, $109,000 max price. But if you add all that other stuff, it's gonna increase so much more. It's a bargain. It's a complete, utter bargain. You get over 350 miles per full charge. Looks really good. The top comes off. Tailgate speaker in the back of that thing. You can roll down all the windows with a push of a button. Everything in here is just, it feels premium and luxury to me. And on top, you get all that space. You got somewhere to hold your tops and like everything I said. Like, man, listen up, man. This heated steering wheel, granted, let's talk about that because the heated steering wheel don't get hot enough, but at least it has the option. It definitely gets lukewarm. I wouldn't say it gets hot, like heated up, but it gets lukewarm. And it only gets lukewarm on the bottom right here because of the Super Cruise feature right here. It doesn't get hot up there at all. I mean, obviously I'm assuming that's for like electronics and different things like that, so they don't want to just bake up the wiring up there. It's probably more of a safety thing, but it works nonetheless. And I think at this price tag, what more can you ask for? And plus, I like the interior, man. It's oozy. That thing looks slimy. Plus, it's black and white like me. And I ain't talking about my fit. I'm talking about my genetics and DNA, baby. Now, this one's gonna be a little bit of a rant because I've been feeling this way for a long time about EVs outside of Tesla, but this is also for Tesla too. This isn't a shot at GMC or any other manufacturer for that matter. Every manufacturer has to share the same charging stations all day, every day, except for Tesla. I know Tesla got this new thing where they're supposed to be, sharing their charging stations, and I'm surprised they haven't had to do this sooner. But since they were first to do this whole electric thing and really do it in a mass production way, they got all their own individualized chargers and they're everywhere. It makes it super easy for them to take road trips, short trips, and everything in between. And there's always a billion of their chargers. And very rarely, I don't care, even in the most condensed areas and cities, do you have to wait for a Tesla charger? I talk about this on my Snapchat in real time. So just a quick side note, if y'all wanna see any of these reviews in real time, follow my Snapchat right there on the screen, because the days that I have this car, all throughout that week, this is more production right here, like along with my 5-minute car review that I did on this Hummer EV3 as well. So these take time to put out, but if you wanna see them in real time when I actually have these cars, like the day I get these cars, and whether I have them for a month or a week, I'm posting every single day in real time. Follow my Snapchat on there, because this is what I talked about on there, and all my Snapchatters out there that follow me, they know this. The thing that I don't like is the fact that you have to wait so long. I charge at Electrify America, and they got like a 350 kilowatt charger thing, whatever. I don't even know if I'm saying the name right. The lines be so ridiculous. I mean, there might be 3 to 4 chargers, and maybe sometimes 1 or 2 of the chargers are broke, and you got another 2 at the other end of the parking lot at Walmart, and literally you're waiting for hours sometimes just to charge. So I just always wanted to put out there with the EVs, for me personally, if I didn't have a charger at my house, which we do, but not for this one, and we need to get the adapter piece for the Tesla one that goes to all the other EVs. So I need to find out which one that is. If y'all have one that y'all recommend, drop it in the comments below. I want to know so that way I can plug this joint up at the crib, because I be having to wait hours in line. Mercedes, Ford, Chevy, any other car manufacturer, Mercedes, BMW, it doesn't matter what other manufacturer, Lincoln, it could be any other manufacturer, they're all gonna be sitting there together. Whereas like Tesla, it's just Tesla. It doesn't matter what day you go. Some people say, oh, you should go during lunch, or some people say you should go 2 o'clock in the morning. Some people say you go at 8 p.m. I've went at all different times when reviewing these cars, and that's outside of Tesla. And every single time I go, excuse my language, it's a straight bitch. And I don't know how people that's working a 9 to 5 that don't have a charger at home are doing this every single day, because you literally are gambling with your livelihood, because you'll say, oh, okay, I gotta go to work, I got an hour break. You either have to charge after, wait hours, or you have to charge somewhere in between on your break, and then you don't even know if a charger's open. You could be sitting there for an hour or 30 minutes and might only be able to charge for 10 minutes. It just doesn't seem worth it, in my opinion, if you can't or don't have a charger installed at your house. And since we're talking about charging, like I said, I got a rant for y'all today. It costs about like almost $140. Granted, I went past the actual time, because if y'all follow me on Snapchat, I was in the gym getting some steps in on the treadmill while waiting for the car to charge, because there was a gym right by there. $140 though to fill up EV? Isn't the point and purpose of EV for it to be cheaper than gas? Even if the money in gas was the same and the electric was the same, but you're like, okay, I'm gonna go green, I'm gonna save the earth, all that good stuff, and there's a whole thing behind that too, and we ain't gonna get on to all the science behind that. But let's say, even if I wanted to do that, well, I'm paying the same equivalent as I would in gas, even, which I don't think it would be the same exact thing, but now you're adding 2 hours, maybe even more. We're talking an hour and a half just to charge this. That's how long. When I first plugged it up, it said an hour and a half till it got fully charged. And granted, I got there around 4%, and I did that on purpose because I wanted to give y'all a real life, transparent view on what it's like living with this car for the people that are shopping for the EV Hummer. That came at a cost. I wanted to give y'all a real life, world transparent view of what it was like living with it. So that's why I did that. That would add an hour and a half plus an hour of wait time in a line, minimum probably sometimes. I think the shortest I've ever had to wait was maybe like 30 minutes for a charger, which is crazy to me, like I said, because we're used to Tesla where you ain't never gotta wait. But there's times where my wife and I have gotten to a charger. I wanna say it was when I was reviewing either the Acura or the Kia EV9, and it was like 12 o'clock at night, and we were literally at the charging station till 2:45 in the morning. So think about that. And then we still had to charge the car. That's how long, I mean, the line was just wrapped around the block. It was crazy. And there was no other chargers in the equivalent space that you could even say, okay, I'm gonna risk it and go over here because we were too low in charge. It's not like running out of gas in a car. No, you gotta get this thing towed away, you gotta get it charged, or you gotta have somebody with some electric, Tesla or EV people come out, fill up the car with a charge, like enough charge to get to the next spot, and then you gotta do the whole waiting game and thing all over again. So you gotta really know what you're signing up for when you get one of these EV cars in short. So thank you for listening to that rant. On to the next thing. Now, this next one is kind of complicated to say the least. It's gonna be your climate events along with your heated and cooled seats, but it's kind of cool at the same time. Like, I like the design. I like where GMC was going with it. Once you learn it, it's dope. But when you first get into a Hummer for the first time, it's kind of annoying trying to figure something out because you think that the climate controls is touchscreen when it's not. Because they've seamlessly integrated in the buttons, which are very responsive and easy to use, and has a nice little feedback touch to it, right? To do this, to go here or to do this, doesn't seem like much, but it really does make you feel like, oh, I could just hit the screen and it should work, or this, or this, or this. And then it's so seamless right here. You know what I mean? So it's just like to hit here, to go here, to close it, to go here, to hit this, to do this, to turn this, to cancel that, to turn that back on. It's just like, it's like this one right here, I still don't like, because I figured it out, but it's just a little annoying and doing too much. This is about the easiest one on here, is obviously the fan speed right there, you know what I mean? But this one, I do wish that there was a quicker way to get all the way to low without doing this, because even when you hold it, it doesn't go the fastest. So it could be better, you know what I mean? But I get it though. I would really like some ambient lighting here, and there's no ambient lighting here like how we would traditionally think what ambient lighting is, like with changing different colors. And I think ambient lighting will give this a real like futuristic, modern, you know, youthful approach with some seasoning, you know what I mean? Like it'll really make this joint pop up real good. And I think with an EV, that's the kind of stuff you want in an EV, right? Like at least I do anyway. So it's like, I'm giving y'all what it's like living with for me, not for y'all, because I know every last one of y'all is different, and not every last one of y'all are gonna agree with me in the stuff that I'm saying in this video. So that's why I tell y'all from my point, here's what it's like living with for me personally. And I just would like some ambient lighting here. And I think that would just make this joint pop and just come to life something crazy. So GMC, think about it. While talking about the interior, let's talk about these back seats, because I really like those storage doors in the back seat. Those are top level legendary. I like how most, you know, pickup trucks, you know, because that's essentially what this is. The bottom of the butt cheek area can lift up. You can store things down there. I like that a lot too. That armrest is also worth noting. It's very plush and comfortable with 2 cup holders and a little storage space in the middle. I like that a lot. Sounds like I'm doing my 5-minute review. The only downside to that back seat for me at 6'10", my headroom I can make work, but I can't necessarily lay my head on that headrest. Like, it's like a super tight squeeze back there for me. Definitely if I got my seat set for me at my height of 6'10", it makes it challenging to sit behind my seat. And I just think for a pickup truck or any SUV, I just shouldn't have that problem. But then again, I am an abnormally tall human being, but since I get in these abnormally big SUVs and trucks, I'd be expecting it to be abnormally abundant in space, if that makes sense. There's no recline action. So when I tell you the back of that window is straight up and down like this, right? Like a box, big like this in the seat. Ain't no reclining in that thing. Like, at all. There's no give. Man, you up in that thing, big straight neck. I ain't sat back there since. I will say I do like the headrest back there. The fact that they can flip down, because we got such a small front windshield and a small rear windshield that rolls down, like I said. Sometimes that can obstruct your view because the headrest is so big and the rear window is so small. So the fact that you can flip that down for a little bit more understanding and visuals, that helps a lot too. Definitely when parking. So the next thing I'm gonna talk about is the fact that you can open the front trunk from the key fob and close the front trunk from the key fob, but you can't do the same thing with the tailgate in the back. You can only open the tailgate from inside the car, but you can't close it from either or. Like, I just feel like it should be standard on a car like this to be able to open and close the front trunk and rear tailgate the same exact way through the key fob, and be able to do the same thing from inside the car without ever having to get out the car. So I just wish that GMC would have added that for sure. So I'm not gonna lie, that would have been a top level thing. For the last thing of the video, I'm gonna have to mention, this is a hate for me, but it's not a hate just for GMC and this Hummer. It's a hate for all manufacturers across the board who do this. I hate memory seats that I gotta press and hold to get my seat position where I saved it at before. I wanna be able to just press that button. That's the whole point of memory seats to me, is to press and click that button and the seat just does the rest. Because sometimes, let's say if my wife is driving or somebody else driving, they're a lot shorter and smaller and closer to the steering wheel, them motorized seats and motorized steering wheels be taking a long time to get in position. It's the same thing with a rear view. There gotta be like a rear view mirror that comes out that has a memory setting too, because if a rear view mirror had a memory setting, well, I guess they don't gotta do that because now we got live view cameras. But let's say if live view cameras never was a thing. This is one thing to adjust your seat, but y'all drop some comments below. It's the worst thing when you gotta adjust that rear view mirror like back in the day. But like I said, that live view kind of null and voids that. But with memory seats, I hate when somebody shorter is driving and all that stuff takes a while, and then I gotta come over to the driver's side, open the door, and the seat is all super close, and I'm super tall, so I gotta have it all the way back as far as it can go. And I gotta press and hold the memory button and just wait there like this, outside the car. My lower back probably hurting at that time too, ain't no telling. I just gotta keep holding this button until everything's fully adjusted. I should be able to just press that button and just jump right in the car because it's already moving. You know what I mean? I get comfortable as it adjusts. Let's say I have like a different option where memory seat number 2 is, I like a little bit more reclined, but when I want memory seat 1, I'm more upright in the correct posture, right? Working on my 10 and 2, understanding tight. Well, in those cases, I want to be able to hit number 2 and get a little bit more recline action today. You know what I mean? Unbutton up a little bit, loosen up a little bit, you know? And I got to sit there and press and hold it till it gets to the perfect position. I might as well just use the motorized seat settings on the side of the seat myself. What's the point of the memory seats if I got to do all that? I might as well just, right? Am I the only one with this, man? Y'all drop some comments below and get active in the chat, man. Let me know. Am I tripping? Am I the only one in the world like this? Am I the only one that think like this? Because I've never heard nobody talk about this in a car review. So I like to talk about the stuff that I don't ever see nobody talking about. And that's the stuff I'm always thinking about. And I'll be like, man, I can't stand this. This is annoying. I want to press a button and just boom, be done. But that's enough of my rants today, man. I went on a crazy one with this video today. I hope y'all enjoyed it. No offense, GMC. No offense to none of the manufacturers. That's the end of this video, man. See you on the next one. You dig?